Hi, it's Ursula from ursula-smith.com, and I am back with trying to cut print and cuts on the Siser Juliet, but with kind of a double print. So printing on an inkjet, printing over the top in black on a laser so that I can use that laser portion to run through or run the whole thing, but the black laser ink will grab onto foil if I run it through a laminator or a foiler with the heat set foil. And so I did another video on, or a couple of videos, one on using Leonardo Design Studio the whole way through, one where I did some of the work in Leonardo and then back to Photoshop, kind of back and forth. And while I was doing that, I had mentioned that I thought once I got the registration marks into Photoshop, I could probably just use those registration marks and build a print and cut file from there. And so do almost all of the work in Photoshop other than the cut. And so that's kind of the theory I'm testing today. So I have these images in Photoshop, these scroll images that layer over card bases. And again, it's kind of the same idea if you watch my other videos where I was printing the birds to layer over background images of the same birds. So sizing was critical. Then again, printing on inkjet first, laser second, and so lining up was critical. And so I'm now working with these kind of scroll designs and flowers. And so my theory again was, because I had a layer that I cut and pasted from the bird experiment, I could use that layer in a new file and then kind of build from scratch. So I took these scrolls and then these are the overlays that would be printed on the laser printer, and I brought them into a new file and I combine them. They're big again because they're kind of almost greeting card size. So I have a background of white. I'm not sure I need that, but I'm thinking just to again make sure that Leonardo kind of keeps things in the same size. I'm using a white background, but this background here kind of fits within the page marks, and so this layer are the marks that I snagged from the other design, and then I just built a rectangle in the middle of it to kind of represent the print border. Because again, I found with this crazy double print thing, it works better if everything's within the page border. The way I'm going to do it today, I'm not sure that makes much of a difference. And hopefully as I progress, you'll see why. So I have a bunch of layers. So like this blue, I have the blue scroll with the black overlay. And then, different colors of those scrolls kind of, moved about to fit within that rectangle. And then I filled in the space with flowers that, again, let's see, I don't know which one this one is. It's the one down here. So if you watch down there, it's got the background and then it's got the black overlay. So this looks good to me. I've got everything that I want in there. It fits within the page marks and the print boundary mock-up that I did. So I'm gonna create, I don't have to create a layer. I'm just gonna save it. I was thinking I was gonna create a layer, but I'm just gonna save the whole thing. So I'm gonna save this and I'm gonna save it as a JPEG. And let's just call it that. And I'm going to use that JPEG for use in Leonardo. I'm not going to print from there. I'm not going to do anything else other than import this file and use that to create the cut contours of this whole thing. I'll again print from here in the inkjet. I'm going to have to do some work because I'm going to have to break apart all of the black overlays as a separate layer so that I can move it. Because if you watched my previous video, I ended up having to move the laser outline down 2 millimeters and over 0.5 millimeter. So right now these are all kind of grouped together to make them easier to move around, and now I'm going to have to go back through and ungroup them or copy them, however I'm going to do it. But I'm basically going to take this all these black layers and move them to their own layer so that I can print, move that down and print it separately. So I've got a little bit more work to do, but I'm not going to make you watch me do that whole thing. So this was more to explain what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to go off and move this, and when I am finished with that part, I will be back. Okay, I am back. And so I basically recombined everything so that all my inkjet, including the registration marks, are on one layer that I can turn off, and then my laser prints are on another one. And if I turn off the inkjet, there's no registration marks on the laser prints. And I actually I'm thinking I might want to make these a little bit darker. I had copied everything. I'm going to turn off the inkjet. So these flower outlines seem light. I may try and make those a little bit darker, but in the meanwhile, I can turn off the laser, print to the inkjet, turn off the inkjet. Once that's done, put it in the laser, and then print the laser. And these things, remember, I'm going to have to move those down by 2 millimeters, if you remember from the last video. So I'm thinking about what I want to do with the flower, so I'm going to pause for just a second, and I will be back. Okay, I am back. So I just took the inkjet images. I'll just quickly talk through what I did. I took the inkjet images of just the flowers. I turned off the scrolls and the registration marks, and I copied and pasted them all into a separate layer, and then did a smart filter, turn it into a smart filter, and then did filter gallery of stamps, and that's how I originally created them. But then what I had done was I selected the black out of the resulting stamps outlines, and I contracted by 2 or 3 pixels, which left me with those faint small lines. So this time I just selected and contracted by 1 pixel. That may be a little bit too much, so I might be able to contract by 1 more pixel. So where is the black? So this is the new one. So I could select those, do select, contract, modify, contract by 1 again, create a new layer, fill in, and then turn off the thicker one, deselect, and then that might be better. So if I, yeah, so that's better than it was, the light. The lines, the laser lines need to be at least black enough to hold on to the foil. So that's why I was kind of struggling with that a little bit. So again, for this test, we're really just trying to do a proof of concept here. I think that's okay. So I'm going to shut off the laser. I'm going to print, make sure there's paper in my printer. I'm going to print to the inkjet. So I had shut off the laser lines. So all I'm left with are the registration marks and the inkjet. And I'm going to print to the inkjet printer. Go ahead and start. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to turn this off again because it's really loud. And so when that's done printing, I will be back. Okay, I am back, and the inkjet printed and finished, and it's now sitting in my laser printer. So now I need to print the laser. And if you watch my last video, you know that it needs to, the laser overlays need to go down by 2. I mean, it is still off a little bit. Unfortunately, I'm not quite sure whether it's off. Actually, I'm not even going to worry about it. It's off if I'm double printing the registration marks. It's close enough with the just the overlays for the images. So I'm not even going to talk about whether I'm going to tweak the numbers I need to move it by. So forget I said that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, so you can either select all, Control A, and then I forget what, copy merged, and then edit, paste special, paste in place. You can use the shortcuts. I couldn't remember what they were called because I just do the shortcuts. So what that does is it creates another layer in the same location of everything that's visible right now, which is my laser. So I can shut the laser off. I'm going to rename this laser moved for print. So we're going to move this down. And the way, again, the best way, if you watch my last video, that I have found it is to move it in the properties. And so I'm actually, I don't know if this will change on the fly. If I've come to preferences and go to, I think it's units. Okay, and let's set this to millimeters. I don't know if that will change. Oh, okay, yeah, it does. So I'm gonna add over in the X, I want it to move over 0.5. So I'm gonna say plus 0.5 mm. And I'm trying to see what it was. It was 13.12. So let's hit return. And yep, so it did add. And then on the Y, I want it to go down 2. So plus 2 mm. Hit return, and there it goes. So you can leave it as inches. That's what I've done before, but I just wanted to see with such a small millimeter, would it add in that 0.5. So here's what I would do if I really was going to try and do that double registration, which it really isn't worth it. But if you're still struggling with even trying to align the laser with the inkjet, if you work in millimeters, you can just use smaller numbers, and you can move it literally by little bits and pieces till it gets perfectly lined up. So that's the way that I would do it. And then if you're, I can kind of go back and forth between millimeters and inches. When I'm working in card bases, I like inches. When I'm working in little things and I have to look at little spaces, I like it in millimeters. So now I've got my, it's offset. So if I turned on the inkjet, it's not lined up. So, but I like to keep that original around just in case I need to make modifications. So once again, I'm going to turn off inkjet. I'm going to take this moved layer. I am going to turn on the white background again. I don't know if this matters for sizing purposes, but since it doesn't get printed anyway, I'm going to leave it on. So then I'm going to hit print. I'm going to change to my laser. I'm going to do print settings and make sure. And so this was what I did before. I don't know if you watched my other video. I screwed up and I was talking and showing you this, and there was changes to it, and I clicked cancel, and so it left it as this. And the print came out all wrong and my cut was off and whatever. So make sure that you have the correct settings. So I know the normal print is set correctly. If I go to layout, none of the crazy margin shifts or print positions or margins have been changed. They're all set to the default values. So that's good. I'm not going to cancel there because I want to make sure that I'm using this saved setting. And then I'm going to click OK to send it through the, and then print to send it through the laser. And then now we're going to switch into Leonardo Design Studio to set up the cut. And I don't know how loud no, it's still pretty loud. When that's done, I'll be switched back over to Leonardo. Okay, so I am in Leonardo. My print came out okay. Actually, I'm looking at, there's a couple places I probably would have tweaked it, but it's close enough to what I need to. This is, again, really just a proof of concept to see if this whole idea works. And so I need to import something because I need to set up the cut files. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to import what I saved, which was basically, it was the whole, inkjet and laser print. It really doesn't matter because in this case, it's kind of opposite of what we did before. I don't care about the print part. I only care about the cut part. So I saved it with a white background. The marks were already in there. Not sure I needed to do that, but since this is the first time I'm doing this, I just wanted to see what it would do. So I'm going to import, and here's my JPEG. I'm going to bring it in. I'm going to say, yes, I want to print and cut. I'm going to hit up, and 300 dpi is correct. I'm going to hit next. It cuts out the white background, which is fine. And then I'm going to click next and let it do its magic. And I should end up with a pile of cut contours, including the registration marks. So this is what I want. I wanted to see that. And I might have to do it again because I don't know if I can get rid of cut contours once they're, I think I can, but whatever. Let's just see what happens. I just want to make sure that that indeed lines up with the registration marks, the page marks on the mat. And so I'm not going to do a bleed. I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to turn on page marks. And okay, that looks like that lines up perfectly. So I think what I'm going to do is, for now, I'm going to turn off page marks. I'm going to break this apart. So I'm going to come up here to ungroup paths. And then I wonder if I can select easily. Okay, so there's one. So that's a cut contour. I don't really want to cut these. So I'm going to get rid of that. And that one, and that one, and that one, and that one, that one, and that one. And then I think I can just basically select all and group it. And hopefully this will work. So I'm just going to click send. I'm going to hit send. We're not going to print it because I've already printed it. So we're just going to look at the cut contours. And that, oh, I know what. I didn't turn the page marks back on. So pretty much, this was kind of what I was saying before. With print and cuts, unless you have the registration marks or the page marks turned on somewhere, it doesn't let you basically do anything. You can't print, you can't cut. So I had to turn the page marks back on. And then click send. I don't want to print. I'm going to go to the contours, and now it looks like it will let me cut. So I'm going to pause right here. Actually, no, we can keep going for one more. So I'm hesitating again because I printed, but I forgot to set it up on the mat and into the Juliet. But we can still continue to walk through this because I would stop after a certain step anyway, because I can't film the other part from here. So I would send to cutter and then choose advance to end of the long cuts and then click OK. So I'm going to stop the filming here, go set everything up on the cutter, and when that is done, I'll hit OK, and I will be back. Okay, I'm back, and everything's on the machine, and it's reading the registration marks. Hopefully my mat is sticky enough for this. I was just thinking there's a lot of cuts on this. I probably should have used the standard grip rather than the light grip for this one, but fingers crossed. Okay, first step, it read the registration marks, and now it's going through and cutting, and I'm gonna let it go, and when it's done, I will be back. Okay, so it finished cutting, and I do think this mat is getting pretty dusty from cutting. The paper tends to, gum up the works a lot quicker than stuff that isn't fibrous. And so I don't know whether these are knockoff mats, so I'm not sure if I can go in and kind of clean them off to get rid of and defuzz them. But the point is it's going to be a little bit trickier weeding, but the cutting is great. So there's that scroll and then a bunch of flowers that cut really well. So when I did the original doing the print and cut with laser over inkjet from Photoshop, the first go round, I did some of the work in Leonardo Design Studio, mostly because I needed to get the registration marks into Photoshop, and I had moved things around from the original design and had the cut contours all set up. So I did a lot more work in Leonardo Design Studio than in Photoshop than I did this time. So this time, literally, all I had to do with Design Studio was get in there with the output of the inkjet. It was inkjet and laser, but it didn't really matter because I didn't need the print. I only needed the cut. So just into Design Studio with the image of what was being printed, run it through the print and cut series so that it would read everything and develop the cut contours. And for the most part, that worked great. So I don't know that I need to bring it in with the registration marks anymore now that I know that seems to work. There was an extra step there. I would suggest that you do that for the first time just to make sure that that works correctly. And the other thing I noticed, there's a couple of places, and I don't know whether the weeding, I think that one's cut, but there's a couple of places that I can't tell if I missed holes that should have been cut. And I could have added those back in there with the brush tools, but pretty good considering. So anyway, sorry for all the long videos. It's probably not something you can sit down and remember everything. I mean, if you're experienced enough, you probably can be like, oh, I know what she's doing. I know what she's doing. But if you're kind of a newbie, this might be overwhelming. And hopefully I described things right and didn't do it in such a manner to confuse you. But if you sat through all these videos and stuck with me the whole way, I thank you. I appreciate it. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you got some ideas. And as always, thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next time.